Hi there, comic book fans. It's time for another edition of Not on the Pole. This is for the week of November 9th, 2011. Okay, this week we're going to talk about Demon Knight, Mr. Terrific, and Resurrection Man. I want to remind everyone, I tend to get spoilery, so if you haven't read these yet and you intend on reading them, stop watching this now. Come back to it after you've read them, and then we can talk about them some more, okay? Anyway, let's get started. First up is Demon Knights number 3. I'm really liking this book. This issue wasn't as fun or funny as issue number 2 was. I'm still liking it quite a bit. The art in it is great. We get to know the characters a little bit more in this one. A little more in depth on bits and pieces, and some more motivation behind some of the characters and stuff. I'm curious to see where this book goes. Curious in the sense of how long can they maintain this? I mean, you know, at some point the Horde's going to attack. At some point they're going to have to fight the Horde, and then what? Where does the comic go after that? Or is that what the comic's going to be about? Is that? So I'm kind of curious to see where that goes as far as that goes. Some of the characters in it I'm liking more than others. The demon in this isn't quite as interesting. I've always kind of liked the character. Yeah, I don't know. In this one, he isn't as interesting as some of the others. I wish they would get to introducing Horsewoman more so than what they have so far. They're kind of skirting around her, but never really talking about her a whole lot. I like the other characters that are there. There's a good scene with a cleric and our I don't know. Sinbad the Sailor type character in it, and there were some good parts there with that. Like I said, I like the comic. It's got some fun parts in it. Vandal Savage is by far my favorite character in the book. He's just fun, and there should be some great fights coming up, I think, here pretty quick in the thing, and so those fight scenes will probably be pretty cool. Like I said, strong art, and an enjoyable, fun read. And my biggest misgiving with it is, where's it going to go? What's going to be next? But we'll either have a good payoff or we won't have a good payoff. Right now, it's a fun read in the meantime. Anyway, next up is Mr. Terrific number 3. Despite what it says on the cover of this one, the actual artist inside of it is new. The art is definitely different than the regular artist that's on it. Whereas I like this artist, his rendition of people's faces and stuff. There's emotion there. The faces don't look quite so mashed up. I've talked about that in the last couple Not on the Polls that have Mr. Terrific in it, that I'm not real keen on the ongoing artists, the way he portrays people's faces. They always look kind of mashed up and messed up, so I'm not real keen on that. This artist, that's not a problem with. Nice crisp lines and that sort of thing, but you know what? I like the ongoing artist better than this temporary artist, and this is why. The scenes are all great and fine. The characters themselves are drawn well. The backgrounds bug the daylights out of me. It's like the backgrounds are almost like a computer generated, or like we took a picture of just some random background and then put it in the back and digitized it in a way to make it look like it was drawn or comic book type, and so what it ends up doing is you got these well-drawn characters who are a completely different style in the background laid on top, so it makes the characters themselves look two-dimensional, even more so than obviously what a comic book they are anyway. Makes them look flat with this weird background behind them, so I didn't really like that. One thing I do like about this art, the T-spheres themselves, because they use some computer generation in it to establish the art, they have a really cool mirror sheen to them. That is cool. Them looking like these shiny mirrored balls look awesome. And there's a ton of them in this book. They use a whole bunch of them in there. As far as stories go, I don't know. I want to like this book. I want to like the character. It all felt too easy at the end of this. They finish off the bad guy in this one, and it just felt really too easy. The kind of bomb he ends up dropping, metaphorically, about Mr. Terrific's wife. I don't know. To me, it didn't feel like that played very well. Towards the end of it, he is kind of stepping away from his company. I don't know. That's to me, it's taking away the things that might make him interesting. He's just going to kind of sequester himself away somewhere. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be interesting or not. Some of the most interesting pages for me are the ones that have to do with his corporation, about how there's some of the other board members are going to try and take it away from him and give it to, his loyal right-hand lady, and give her the power instead, and potentially her loyalties towards Mr. Terrific versus her loyalties towards the company, and how that plays out might be interesting too. I was thinking I was going to hang on with this book just because DC and the Source, their blog page, have talked about how there's potentially a tie-in between the current Huntress miniseries that's going on that I'm picking up, and this title, and the up-and-coming JSA that'll be out sometime in the future, and how that all ties together, and how that potentially ties Earth 2, because the JSA is going to be set in Earth 2 DC universe. So I was kind of wanting to hang on to everything just to see how it all ties together and whatnot. I don't know that that's going to happen, though. I think I'm pretty well done with this book. I may pick it up in trade when it comes out, but I'm not going to keep spending the full cover price on it. This is kind of the end of a story. It starts another story that might be interesting. I'm kind of tempted because it has to do with the ninth dimension, this other dimension that Mr. Terrific has created for himself to hide most of his secret base in and whatnot. Two entities at the very end of the book pop up and are trying to get his help. That might be interesting. That might be cool to read. But it just seems like the book can't quite fire on all cylinders at any one point. So I think that's it. I think I'm done with that. I don't think you'll be seeing this on the poll unless something comes up between now and next month to give me some sort of hint that there's going to be something really interesting in this book for me to get. Otherwise, this is it for that. Okay. Last up is Resurrection Man #3. I'm loving this comic. This comic, for me, it's great. It's good fun. It's got some crazy characters in it. Our main character, he's interesting. We're starting to find out more and more about him. Last issue, he had been killed, and instead of just immediately being resurrected again, which is what supposedly has always happened to him in the past, he's kind of hung up in this limbo land and runs into some entity who obviously is a bad guy in some sense, and he's kind of in this limbo land briefly. And then while he's in that limbo land, this bad guy basically tells him, "Hey, look, there are, heaven and hell is both trying to, collect your soul, and the fact that you haven't died is throwing the balance way out of whack, and somebody's going to get you, one way or the other. Either the angels are going to get you, or the demons are going to get you, one of the two. So you might as well just come with me, and let's just end the whole thing." Of course, he wants nothing to do with that. He doesn't claw his way back into being alive, which, of course, he then runs into the two ladies who took him out in the first place. They continue to have a good time pretty much wrecking him. They kill him a couple more times, I think, in this issue, trying to put him down and get him handcuffed up and to haul him off and whatnot. It doesn't quite work out for them up until the end. They finally do get him shut down. We get to find out how well their healing abilities are, which is pretty awesome because they get smashed up and they get crushed into the ground and all kinds of stuff, and they still manage to knit themselves back together and keep coming after him. Obviously, they want him alive because they come out of the fact that if he's really dead and doesn't come back, that they aren't going to get whatever their collection is or whatever, and they'll be in trouble for that. So that's interesting to see what they are, what their third party is that's trying to collect him, besides Heaven and Hell both trying to collect him. The very end of it, we get introduced to a ex-supervillain who's been living in the retirement home and was supposedly best buddies with Mitchell, the main character's dad. He's come to his rescue. He's managed to find his old supervillain suit in his closet or whatever, and is coming after the two ladies to save Mitchell. Whereas last issue we were kind of led to believe that the guy had Alzheimer's and was a bit of a nut and didn't really, wasn't lived a kind of a fantasy life a lot of the time. So it's pretty awesome. That part of it is. This is a great comic. This is the last time you'll hear me talk about it on Not on the Poll. I've already ordered it, so issue 4 will be on my poll list. So it'll be something that I'll talk about when I start doing some video reviews down the road. But I really like the comic. I love the art. I love the style of it. I'm not a real fan of the covers. Last two covers really haven't done it for me in comparison to what's going on inside of it and whatnot. But if you get past the cover, it's a great read, and I would suggest just about anybody I point it out to people to read. It's got a Vertigo kind of a flavor to it, so if you kind of like that, where it's not your straightforward 4-color superhero thing, I think you should pick it up. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, that's it for this week. I'll catch you next time on Not on the Poll. Bye.